data set comes kind of on the heels of the San Antonio meeting last year where the PATINA trial was first shown as a late-breaking abstract indeed. And in this strategy, patients who were given a induction, if you will, of taxane with HP, the Cleopatra-like induction, in the ER positive, hormone receptor positive subgroup, they were then given the continuation of the dual antibodies with an anti-estrogen, with or without a CDK4/6 inhibitor. What was the scientific rationale behind addition of CDK4/6 in the HER2 positive, hormone receptor positive space?
Yeah, great question. So the PATINA trial was really quite interesting, and in terms of the rationale for combining both endocrine therapy and CDK4/6 inhibition with HER2-directed therapy, we certainly know that there is crosstalk between the ER-regulated pathways as well as HER2, which also includes crosstalk with cell cycle. And so there is a biologic rationale for combining CDK4/6 inhibition with endocrine therapy and HER2-directed therapy. Certainly under the Cleopatra paradigm, that maintenance period during the antibody-alone therapy is an area where we've been looking to find interventions that extend that maintenance or chemotherapy-free interval. And PATINA was very exciting by showing essentially a 44-month median progression-free survival. Incredible with CDK4/6 inhibition and dual anti-HER2 therapy. Now, I think you mentioned a very important point with regard to Cleopatra being sort of the induction regimen, if you will. And I think what I took away from this trial is that once you're able to induce a favorable response, because, of course, remember, this was a requirement of the trial. Right. Once you're able to do that, then adding endocrine therapy and a CDK4/6 inhibitor in that maintenance setting is a successful strategy for prolonging that time.
And even the control arm in that trial did quite well.
Good point,
and
yes.
I think that's because some patients didn't finish the induction because of disease progression. If you look at the stair steps on the original Cleopatra Kaplan-Meier analysis, you'll see that you lose a few to several percent off the top due to disease progression, even with the THP induction. And I think once those are subtracted out, because the randomization occurred after the induction was over. So yes. It's important for our listeners to know not to compare Kaplan-Meier plots of DB09 head-to-head with PATINA, because they're completely different patient populations where the randomization occurred at completely different times.
Yes.
So don't fall into that trap.
That's such an important point, right? And I think we've all had those patients who unfortunately either progress or they don't have the response we're looking for during that induction taxane phase of Cleopatra. And as you importantly point out, they were excluded from PATINA.
Right. Now, why don't we just do T-DXd plus P as the induction, and then do PATINA for the hormone receptor positive subset, do the PATINA regimen for maintenance?
That's a good question. So the trials, of course, PATINA was not designed in that way. They did, of course, enroll patients who received Cleopatra induction. And so we don't yet have a trial that has been that has reported T-DXd induction followed by an endocrine CDK4/6 inhibitor PATINA type approach. However, that being said, I think that we, of course, need to think about the principles behind these studies. And as you mentioned, patients were randomized on PATINA after they had a favorable response to induction therapy. So I would argue that we really want to use a regimen that has the highest likelihood of inducing a favorable response that we would then want to maintain. So for me, these are separate topics, right? The question of how do we induce the best response, and then the question of how do we prolong the maintenance period.
I see.
And so if I think about that separately, we have data from DESTINY-Breast09 indicating that T-DXd plus Pertuzumab is superior to Cleopatra in terms of progression-free survival.
Yes.
So potentially I could envision using an approach where we induce with T-DXd Pertuzumab, and if they're hormone receptor positive in addition to HER2 amplified, we then switch to potential maintenance period, which is a la PATINA, but with the major caveat that this is extrapolating from the two trials.
It's interesting, Neil. I was just at a meeting in San Diego about a month ago, and there was an audience response polling question with a group of practicing oncologists in the audience, pretty large group actually, And this question came up, would you consider doing a T-DXd plus P induction followed by a PATINA maintenance? And 85% of the audience said yes. And I said, are you sure in the absence of no data whatsoever, you're willing to do that? They said, we don't need data to extrapolate. They were very secure. And
that's remarkable.
That's what they're planning to do already.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully we'll get some data to back it up.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, right? It makes
does.
sense that we really need to maintain a disease state where you've already minimized the disease, and those response rates with T-DXd, of course, are superior. And so I think
record
the
setting once again.
Right.
Amazing.